Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how to put a double dip of glaze on a piece of pottery. In the last video, we learned how to clear glaze a piece that has been underglazed, and we talked about just one smooth, shiny coat and dipping your work for 3 seconds. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do a pottery glaze. So this is one of the juicers from the level 2 class, and you're going to take your just regular piece of pottery and choose a combination. Now, before we get started, remember, you cannot glaze a piece of greenware. This one, being that grayish color and has not been fired yet, bisque fired, needs to be bisque fired first so that it has this pinkish color and is hard like ceramic. Then you can take this and do the pottery glaze. So come over here for a minute, and on this chart is all the pottery glazes. So usually you can take either one color and double dip it into one color, like let's say you just want black and you're going to dip it in, you'll get black. Okay, if you want to have a different one, I'm going to take luster glaze up here. I'm going to use the luster green and I'm going to dip it into the sandstone, and I'm going to get this kind of green tile up there. So you can select kind of what you want your pottery to look like, and then we'll dip it accordingly. So down here, just like the other video, you've got all of your glazes, okay? You're gonna grab your glaze tongs from the glaze tong bucket, make sure that they're clean, and have those ready and prepared. Then grab your stir stick. I'm gonna start with my luster green, which is right here. Make sure that you stir up each glaze really well. So I'm going to take this luster green, I'm going to stir it really well. I'm going to get all that goo off the bottom and make sure that it's stirred so that I get a nice coat of luster green. Before I move on, I'm going to take my stick. I'm going to wash it in the sink, because we don't want to contaminate. Come back over here and get my luster green. I'm going to grab my piece of pottery from the side, and I'm going to do a 1 second dunk. I'm going to take it and submerge it for about 1 second. I'm just going to go 1 and out and dump all that glaze out, and you'll see it's kind of turned that greenish color. Okay, I'm going to let this dry. Just going to kind of shake it around while it's drying, and I'm holding it with one hand. I'm going to pop the lid back on, slide this underneath the counter, and grab my second glaze. Ooh, sorry for the scratch. Here's my sandstone. Now with my already cleaned stick, still holding this one here, drying it, I'm going to stir my sandstone, get any of the goo off the bottom. Leftover goo I'm going to wipe off. Now I'm going to dunk this one here, and I'm going to just do another dunk of about 1 second. So I'm just going to go 1 and up. Okay, and you want to make sure that your glaze is dry before you dunk it the second time, because if you dunk it a second time and your glaze is still wet, all the glaze is going to come off, right? So this one is now dunked with the second color. I'm going to put my lid back on the sandstone. I'm going to tuck it underneath the shelf there. And now, as this one's dry, I'm just going to set it up on its foot so it can dry. Come back over here and rinse off my stick. Make sure that you rinse these stir sticks off so we don't contaminate. The glazes are really expensive, and if we get contamination, then we have to throw the whole batch of glaze away, and we don't get to, when we have to clean that off. So don't forget also, your glaze tongs should be wiped and clean and returned up here to the glaze tong bucket. Okay, now here's my finished double dipped pottery. Before you put it in the kiln room, make sure that you clean off the base of your work, whatever it is. If it's the foot of a tea bowl or the base of a mug or whatever it is, make sure that you wipe the bottom so that it doesn't get glued to the kiln shelf during the firing. Once it's been wiped, then just like your clear glaze, you're gonna walk it back into the kiln room and you're gonna put it onto the shelf on the left-hand side of the room that says glazeware to be fired. Okay, and it should be on that shelf. If you don't wipe the bottom of it, I'll put it back out on the shelf in the classroom, and you're gonna have to, wipe the bottom and then put it back in the kiln room again. So make sure you wipe that foot first. All right, so that's how to make our pottery glazes, double dipping and choosing a color for pottery glazes in Ceramics 1.